Alrighty, I had a subscriber ask me about good places to buy silver. There's a lot of things going on right now, and I tell you what, sometimes I say things to subscribers, with good meaning, telling them about what's happening. Some of them are interested. I have people ask me to make, financial stuff. People are interested in it. But at the end of the day, some of these people that are interested, they're intrigued by the gossip, but don't really follow through with anything. Whatever you do, now is the time to follow through with something. And if you don't believe in silver or gold or whatever, at least do something, whether it's prepare a shit ton of buy a shit ton of preps, food. I'm talking, don't go and be an idiot like some people go and buy a bag of wheat berries. No, dude, it's wheat grains, and they don't have any way to mill the things. Buy something that is realistic, like I believe you can get 5-gallon buckets of dehydrated beans in the States. Just your dry beans, like I buy small packets of here. Restaurants get 5-gallon buckets of it. Go get some of that. Go get big sacks of rice. I can get 10 kilo, which is like 22, 23 pound sacks of rice in the supermarket. Go get dehydrated greens, which you can buy at Asian shops that are in sealed packets. Whatever you're going to do something now. And if you don't believe in silver or gold, I can crap on about this to kingdom come, but if you don't do anything about it, I've wasted my effort. And although some people like to hear the gossip and what's going on, this is not really a time just to muse at what the gossip is. This shit will affect you. Whether you believe it will or not, it will affect you purely by the chain reaction of finance, such as what we saw in the GFC. Oh, don't worry, it's only a local problem. It's only, one section of the housing market of America. It's not going to cause a recession. I don't even think it's going to cause a near recession. This is what these experts were saying when people who lived on the ground in Cleveland, in Detroit, were seeing what was happening already. And they all knew what was coming. And you had average Joes who could see it and financial experts who couldn't. It's not even going to cause a near recession, and if there's going to be any problems, it's only going to be inside America. It rippled around the whole fucking world, and this one is already rippling around the damn world because there's so many areas of the world that are up shit creek. So whether you buy silver or gold or not, whatever, but just do something. Don't stand there and just muse at the gossip, because now the rubber needs to hit the friggin' road, or, And whatever you do now is one thing that you have to stand by. Even if it's get yourself a frickin' raised bed garden, go buy some bloody, whatever you need to, your sleepers, your friggin' concrete sleepers, your whatever you need. Go buy a shit ton of large pots and a whole shitstorm of pot. Just do something. Anyway, back to what I was asked by the subscriber. Good places to buy silver. First of all, I'll tell you what not to do, because that's always good advice. Mulligan Mint, I believe they've been forced into bankruptcy a while ago, possibly more than a year ago. The guy was a fucking rogue. It's as simple as that. If you don't believe it, ask Truth Never Told, ask Republic Metals of Texas, who tried to take him down for $4 million in court because of unpaid silver. They were great, take months to send silver out, to send the coins out, take all the order money straight away, more than $4 million owing to the Republic Metals of Texas, who was supplying them with the silver. the blanks, which are just like they're almost like a washer. They're just a round, flat piece of silver, and then you put it through your press sort of thing, through your stamp. And yeah, I think they've had the day in court, to put it nicely. Anyway, the other one is eBay. Don't touch eBay with a fucking 40-foot pole. These coins you'll sometimes see, oh, we're having a discount sale, 25% off, blah, blah, blah. Oh, bullshit. Silver's one of these commodities with a set frickin' price, and it's the same price the world round. It's not any cheaper in Australia than it is in America. Once you convert it out from US dollars to Aussie dollars, it's the same price worldwide. It's like frickin' certain grades of oil. You know, it's just the same price worldwide. You're not going to get a discount. This is not a piss-ass consumer item. This is a solid commodity. You won't get a 25% discount. You may get a 5% discount. You will get a discount on buybacks, as I always have. Buybacks are ones where they take them back to the place where they've bought them from to cash them out several years later. And you'll get stuff like, you know, from that. And there's stuff that I've got that's actually quite a lot of American stuff that I've got. When I've bought buybacks, and you go and order your buyback, you order it per ounces, and you get whatever the hell they give you. And about the only choice you've got is if there's going to be 1 ounce coins, 2 ounce coins, 5 ounce coins or bars, or 10 ounce bars, or 20 ounce, or sometimes even a kilo, and sometimes even 1 kilo bars of gold buybacks, because, you know, ultimately these places that sell this stuff to you generally buy it back. Numismatics. Keep away from that shit. That's all fandangle rare coins. And oh, they look beautiful and it's a gold coin. No, it's not a gold coin. It's aluminium bronze. It's a mix of aluminium and copper. Some of these numismatic coins, there's a small succession province in Australia who wax coins out, and they're worth about $3.5 grand each. The realistic value of those coins is not more than about 25 or 30 cents worth of metal in the damn things. And yet, you want to buy one, you're looking about 3,700. You know, they're pretty expensive. It's numismatics. It's fuck collector's items. You don't want collector's items. That'll just get you right off track, and nobody really gives a shit except collectors who won't be collecting if they're more worried about eating than collecting. Ah! Cat jumped on me. Little turd. The other one is, there's a certain sort of silver eagle. I'm not too certain. I believe it's the year before the one I've got, which I think is 2009. So either 2009, 2010 or 2011 silver eagle. There's ones made in China, and they have some, I know when they fake gold, they put in tungsten in the middle of it, and it gives them the same weight, so it all sounds right and seems right. And also, there's a cupro-nickel, like a mix of copper and nickel is an alloy. There's some alloy they use, and I'm pretty sure it's a mix of copper and nickel, in the middle of silver coins, and they have these silver eagles that are 2009, 2010 or 2011 that don't get on the table, you little turd, that are basically a thick layer of foil, and I'm not talking alfoil, I'm talking really reasonably thick, and you can pull it off when you cut it in half with an angle grinder or whatever, and it's just crap in the middle. And there is some silver in them, probably only about $2 worth, and yet you would have paid $20-something for it, you know. And basically you're getting screwed. And I'll tell you the honest truth, if you buy silver eagles, you're going to be screwed anyway, because it's, you know, people get their thrills in life because they're minted by the American government, like as though they got the backing of the American government. You've got to understand something here. Nobody gives a fuck if it's backed by the American government or the fucking Zimbabwean government, which couldn't back much more than a packet of beans anyway. But no one really cares about who's backed it. It doesn't bloody matter. It's about the silver in it. Sterling silver, if you come across that, don't get too excited. You're probably looking at a numismatic. But having said that, sterling silver does have a value, but you'll see 925 stamped on it. It's 92.5% silver, not 99.9% silver. And the other 7.5% is copper. It doesn't tarnish as much. If you can get solid sterling, not plated, and there's a massive plated stuff out there that's sterling silver plated but not solid. If you can get that, it's all right. It's definitely got a value. If you can get it for peanuts, which sometimes people can get it very cheap, comparative to what the cost of, say, proper silver will be. You know, go ahead and get it, but you know, you want to make sure it's actually solid, and it's not quite the same because it's not pure, but it does definitely have a resale value, and it is one of the more undervalued ones. And there's some guys who deliberately go for that just because that's junk silver, but you might end up getting something that's plated and it's not worth a shit because it's such a thin layer on it, you know, and it's not always. There's a few tricks in that, but it's not that easy to tell. And the fact of the matter is, you know, that when you got the pure stuff, then, you know, there's no questions about it. As I said, the Silver Eagle is probably overvalued. There are a number of good ones out there that are very common ones. One is there's quite a few, and to be honest, I haven't been doing much with silver and I've forgotten a lot of them, but I'll try and remember a few. There's a Scottsdale Mint, yes, they do a lot of stuff, and they actually do stuff for other places too. There's American Precious Metals Exchange, also known as APMEX. There's, I think it's JP Matthey. Might be another one that's JD Metals or something like that. There's quite a few different ones, and if you just look up silver bars in Google Images, you'll see a lot of these different ones. And if you look at guys showing off their silver bars on YouTube, which there's tons of people showing their silver stack, just type in silver stack, and you'll get to see a lot of the different major brands be shown. Perth Mint is one, Canadian Mint is another one. We even have, I think, the Brisbane Mint and the Australian Mint, but and there's, what's that one? Shit. Oh, there's another one in Brisbane too, and I think one in Sydney. They've got their own thing. We've even got the Australian Bullion Company, which I've been to, and they even have their own stuff. But a lot of that's remelted stuff. Unfortunately, I can't think of some great ones, but I will tell you a thing about dealers. There's your little corner store dealers. Don't bother. A lot of them are trying to get hold of Silver Eagles and other stuff that's, you know, Perth Mint limited edition, blah, blah, and they're trying to sell it almost as numismatics. You know, these are little corner stores that the guys think they're friggin' antique dealers or something like that, and some of them actually are. And no, don't bother with them. Go for the larger places that deal with the major stuff. Size-wise, probably go for 10-ounce bars, stuff like that would be good. If you do want 1-ounce stuff, by all means, go Canadian maple leaf, because you guarantee that A, the Chinese haven't copied it, so you're not going to get a Chinese copy. B, they actually have what they call what is it again? bullion DNA or something. DNA dot or some bloody thing like that. And what it is, it's a micro inscription, and that's happened since 2015. I think they started minting them with this micro engraving. And I mean, you got to have a jeweler's loop, which you can get for about $20 to even see these things. That's one of those little things they have hanging around the neck. They flip it out and it's like a little magnifying glass thing, and they hold it over. You'll probably see it with a jeweler's loop. But they have these tiny micro engravings on 2015 on for the Canadian maple leafs. And that's another sort of a proof thing that they're the real deal. But meanwhile, I don't even think China's copied any Canadian maple leafs anyway. The other stuff that I do is I get buybacks. And at this point in time, you might not be able to get that many buybacks. And I've seen times where they just about run out of all buybacks full stop. What that is, it's people who their friggin' car breaks down big time and they've got to go buy another car, so they go and cash in their silver to buy another car or whatever. Well, they decide it's time to pull out of the market, so they pull out of the market. And, of course, they go back to these larger dealers and get, well, cash in their silver. And the dealer will resell it, and there's a chance it may have little scratches or little marks, and so you get it on that basis. I've got stuff, a lot of it's actually American stuff that I've got as buybacks. The Silver Bullet, Silver Shield, which is the original one that Truth Never Told, he's on YouTube, done. I honestly wouldn't buy a lot of his stuff because it's friggin' it's a rip-off. But I've got that as buybacks. I've got APMEX stuff as buybacks. Scottsdale Mint. You get a lot of decent stuff as buybacks. But keep in mind that if the value of this goes up, it's best to keep it smaller amounts below, 10 ounces is fine or less. And the other thing is, if it's in small amounts, you can exchange it in smaller amounts as well. And look, I'm not joking, on the odd occasion they have buybacks of Australian Bullion Company bars, which I can also buy direct from Australian Bullion Company, and they're 5 kilograms. Now, to put that into context, that's, holy smoke, I think it works out about 147 ounce bar or something like that. It's bloody ridiculous anyway. I know your 100 ounce bars are about 3.3 kilos. This is 5 kilo, and I'm pretty certain it's around 140 something ounces, just one bar. And if you sell that off, there's limits that you can go over, and the little alarm bells go off that you've moving too much money at once, and then the tax office will ask you, how come you didn't declare this? And so that's another good reason to get rid of it only in small amounts, which you can only do if you've got small bars. And the other way is to don't resell it necessarily to the same dealer you got it from every time. I mean, sell it to them once, and then if there's another large dealer, sell it to them, and sort of spread it all around. So you don't overdo any limits with the one dealer sort of thing when you sell it back again. There's just trying to think. I was going to say there's one dealer that I did remember. Oh shit, there's one that sounds, I don't know if it's Republic Mint or something like that. I know there's Republic Metals I mentioned, but I think there's another mint just called Republic Mint or something like that. There are a handful of bigger ones out there. That's right. I was going to say Mike Maloney, he's another one who's got a lot of stuff. It's reasonably cheap. You can buy it in very large amounts from him. He sells Canadian maple leafs. I think he sells the Silver Eagles as well. But he also has one of his own they call the Pegasus round. And he's got some fancy ones that are limited release. As I said, stuff the bloody limited release. It's all numismatic sort of a style. They overprice the shit out of them, you know, just because they look so beautiful. Who cares, you know? He's got a Pegasus round, which is very cheap. There's a lot of larger dealers. You're always best to go with the larger dealers. And, you know, honestly, the dealer I'm with, I only found out about him through YouTube. And they were cheaper than the first dealer I went to, who was the Australian Bullion Company. But yeah, anyway, I think that's about all I've got to say. There's nothing wrong with getting a bit of gold, but I think that's already taken off. And there's always very commonly believed that whatever gold does, silver will do double or more. Somehow the guys who are into precious metals in general, not just gold or just silver, often believe that. You know, Mike Maloney, I've got one of Peter Schiff's books. He says the same thing. Whatever gold does, silver will do bloomin' double or quadruple. You know, it'll sort of go crackers, and I'm hoping it flaming does. At the end of the day, gold does hold a special place in history, and silver also does hold a special place in history, as always having been money. But silver's got the added advantage that because it's cheaper than gold, and in some aspects, heat and electrical transfer, it's actually better than gold. It is practically used very much for industry, whereas gold, you really won't see it outside of a handful of computer pins, old processors, and a handful of fancy pants Intel processors, and by old processors I sometimes mean stuff right back in the 70s. And it's commonly used in airbag connectors in cars and satellites. Probably one of the biggest sources of gold for industry that you would come across would be the amount of gold they use in a satellite is second to nothing. But other than that, you know, gold doesn't have a great deal of industrial uses, whereas silver does. But anyway, as I said, if you're going to make a move, the time is now, and don't leave it a great deal later, because by the end of this year, we may be seeing it really play out big time, and it could be the end of a lot of things. I'm happy to see that Brexit has occurred. I can't understand how the flaming value of the pound dropped after they left the euro. I mean, what the friggin' hell is there to leave? You know, all they've got is debt and bailouts and fucking migrant chaos and closing the borders on each other to stop these migrants running everywhere and migrants raping fucking women and shit. What is there worth being involved in, you know? Good on them for getting out. Congratulations for getting out. And I can't believe the pound's dropped. But then again, it reminds me of the time that the job data figures in the United States were better than expected, and then they feared that Yellen might raise the interest rates faster, so the stock market dropped regardless of the fact that they had less unemployment than they expected to have, and that caused the stock market to drop. What the hell's on with that? Rarely does the stock market actually make sense, and sometimes the value of currencies doesn't make sense either. And a lot of people believe that the US dollar was going to hit hyperinflation near the end of the GFC, and that's why the price of gold went frickin' ballistic in about 2010 or whatever it was. And yeah, anyway, I don't think they'll keep shit on the rails this time. There's no way, no fucking way. You know, there's 108 to 120 trillion dollars that the US has to fork out that they don't have the incoming taxes for over the next 10 years for pensions that they've already promised people, and Medicare and Medicaid. A lot of it's been the old age pension and Medicare and Medicaid, and there's also military veterans pensions and stuff in there. 108 to 120 trillion over the next 10 years. You know, No hope. The derivatives market had about $4 trillion back during the GFC. Now it has about $60 trillion. There's no way they'll ever pay that back if that blows up in their face. And it's all worked out on patterns being continuing on as usual. And things now all of a sudden aren't continuing on as usual. So don't be surprised if the derivatives market blows to bits. Former Congressman Ron Paul, who's an obstetrician gynecologist, he showed figures of the cost of medical care, and by 2025, the cost of the average medical insurance was going to be the same as the gross median wage of the average American by 2025. We're talking about the before tax wage. Things ain't going to hold up, you know. Anyway, I've said what I've said, and those of you who want to not get ploughed under with the rest of the sheeple, do something, do anything, even if it's plant a fucking garden. And those of you who just want to look at it all, well, you'll go down with the rest of them if you haven't prepared yourself in some way. So, anyway, I think I've said enough.